Hello, this is Steve. I'm an English teacher. Here's an English class in which we're going to do some B2, probably B2 level Cambridge listening, part 2, focusing on how to do that part. Some reading, which is actually not Cambridge at all, but you're still reading English, and it's really useful for understanding general ideas, details from another sort of exam that I am a bit of an expert in, many strings to my bow, as they say. We're going to do a reading on that, on the same topic, this really interesting town in Alaska, some grammar and some speaking, all about Whittier, the weirdest town in the world, that I originally saw from a Michael Stevens Vsauce video, but then I thought, this is interesting, made an exam about it, used it in class. Let's get into it. We are starting with listening part 2. And we're going to do it like this. You have got 8 sentences, as always, for B2C1, and you have to complete them using a word from the audio. So we are going to watch a video news report about Whittier, Alaska. You need to complete the sentences. Technique for this part of the exam, as I've spoken about in other videos, is to try and predict the answer, or at least the type of answer that you're looking for. So number 1, you should straight away be realizing what type of word do you expect to hear. A number. It's going to be in miles or kilometers. This is going to be your key phrase that when you hear it, you think, oh, that was the answer. Number 2, it goes through 2 miles of, that's going to be a material, isn't it? 2 miles of granite, lava, volcano, I don't know. Number 3 is a bit more difficult. A high-rise building is in such a remote town. We need an adjective and maybe think about the context. There's a high-rise building in a remote town. Number 4, Dave Dickerson, that's a person, so we're describing his job or role. Number 5, it's going to be an adjective again, young people and people. Number 6, now here's a slightly different technique. I don't think we can guess this, because it could be anything. It's obviously just a noun. But what's a synonym for strangest question? What do you need to be listening for? You need to be listening for something about a strange question. So if they mention a weird question, an unusual question, a question that surprised me and made me think, that's a strange question. So then you're listening for that part to get number 6. Number 7, we're going to need an adjective again. The students are because she can focus on them. And remember, an adjective can be a past participle, can't it? All the students are appreciated. All the students are happy and so on. Although that's not a past participle. And number 8, everything we need a verb. And you can probably guess the answer should be something like want or need. Although it's not the answer because it's a little trick. Okay, so what you need to do is watch and answer. Let's do it.
Whittier, Alaska, about 60 miles from Anchorage, is both beautiful and yet gritty. It's wild, but tame.
That was number 1. Go back 10 seconds if you need to listen to it again. I'm going to pause after each one and do it a bit differently.
It's accessible, but also very remote.
Yeah, it's a strange little town because there's only one way in and one way out.
It's not for everybody, right?
No, it's not for everybody.
The path to Whittier goes straight under a mountain into a tunnel bored through more than 2 miles of solid rock. And that tunnel shuts down at night, leaving Whittier cut off until morning.
That was number 2. Again, go back 10, 15 seconds if you need to replay number 2. Obviously, in your real exam, you listen twice. We're only listening once.
Address. Lee Shuford from North Carolina now lives on the 12th floor of what some describe as the Wilderness Tower. Now, a high-rise does seem out of place here, but what's even more surprising is that the Begich Towers, as it's officially called, is about the only place to live in all of Whittier.
That was number 3. Go back, listen again.
Just look at their view. Dave Dickerson is Whittier's man. He, his wife Anna, and their 18-year-old daughter Janessa say they have almost everything they need right here.
And that was number 4. Again, go back, replay again.
Better people, because it doesn't matter where you came from, how much money you have, we're all just here in this town trying to make it work.
That said, it's a hard place to have a social life.
But there's not a lot of, single people in their 20s and 30s here.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why. I'm just kidding.
What about your social life? What's a social life like?
Now
That was number 5.
What are people asking the most?
I think the weirdest question that I got was like, is it a cult? It's like, no, it's not. I got so many comments on my TikTok saying it looks sad, it looks depressing, and the community are just, it's so nice that you don't really ever feel sad, and you always have someone to talk to.
There goes number 6. Again, replay if you need it. Here's a little bit of history of Whittier, and now the school.
Lindsay Irk moved here from South Dakota to teach.
No kid in this school can sit in the back of the classroom and not do something. Every kid is seen. That's what fills my bucket, and that's why I want to stay.
That was number 7. That was a good question. You may need to listen again. You should listen again.
Because it's home.
What don't people understand about Whittier?
There's nothing to do here.
This is Victor Shen, by the way, in the question 8.
Everything's here. You know, you think of all those things that you value in a community. We found that here. It's home.
And there you go. That was number 8. Again, replay it if you need to. And the answers we should have, Whittier is, as we said, 60 miles away from Anchorage. It goes through 2 miles of rock. You probably could have guessed that without hearing it. Out of place was how they described the high-rise building. Dave Dickerson is the mayor. There aren't many single young people. People ask if the town is a cult. All the students are seen, and everything you value can be found in Whittier. Fantastic. Right, reading. Let's go on to our reading. I'm going to post this in the description, and if you want to make the most of this video, you should follow the link in the description to Pastebin and do this exercise yourself. It is probably B2 level, I think, I'd say B2 level. You need to read the text about Whittier, which explains everything. Then 3 exercises, which really test your reading comprehension in different ways, which is why I quite like these Trinity reading exams. The first exercise, choose the best title for the paragraph. General understanding. What's the main idea of this paragraph? Choose the best summary title for the paragraph. Second, sentence level understanding. Do we understand the individual ideas in each paragraph? Choose the 5 true sentences. Same as a Cambridge exam, there are some distractions, but you need to choose the 5 that are true. And the last activity, detailed understanding, word level understanding. Complete the sentences with a word from the text. They are in order, and there is normally 1 question for each paragraph, normally in a Trinity exam, in my experience. So 11, look in the first paragraph. But word level understanding. Go and do it. Sit down, 15 minutes, do your work. Understand an interesting text, show me you understand it. Now we're coming back for the answers. Answers coming. Number 1, the best paragraph is D, because it's about access to Whittier, it's about how you get in. Number 2, the answer is F, because it's about we're all living in one building, right? In close quarters means living close together. That's the main idea there. Number 3 is about the military history, the original purpose of it. It was first built for the army. Number 4, this one was maybe a little trick. B is the best answer, because this is mainly about tourism, isn't it? Visitors, cruise ships, popular trails. It's about tourism. And number 5, it's about the climate. It's about the elements. That's another way of saying the elements and the difficult weather in Whittier. For 6 to 10, A is true, because it says whales, dolphins and otters. Those are animals. B is not true, because you are not driving on a mountain road. You are driving through a tunnel under a mountain. A mountain road would be over the mountain. So B, no. C, yes, that's true. It was known as H12. D, that's false. Read it carefully. Anywhere else in the world? No. North America. So that's the trick there. E, yes, we just said that's true. They all live under the same building. F, that's also true. Nature trails, this means walking. And G, this is true. It's an hour away. Then you can do it in the same day. And H, obviously that's false. Photography was banned. So you should have A, C, E, F, G in any order for your 5 points. Number 11 is one of the most isolated places. It's more isolated. Number 12, what tells us how many people live there? The census, or the US Census. Number 13, they were all with the Japanese. Number 14, large cruise ships. Ooh, that was a bit too easy. I should have made that more difficult. And how much does it rain? 211 days. Easy, understanding each part. Great. There's your reading. Let's move on to use of English part 4. It wouldn't be one of my videos without some use of English part 4. We know how this works. Pause the video. Complete the second sentence using the key word so that it means the same as the first sentence. Use a maximum of 5 words, because that's generally a good idea. For C1, 6 words, as we know, but in general 5. Pause the video. Do your work. Do your homework. Actually think, write it, prove that you're going to get it right. And here come the answers with my patented incredible explanations. Number 1, well, if you always remember, then you never forget. And never forget is with ing when referring to the past. I'll never forget doing something. We're going to use ing. Number 2, a comparison question where we have to be careful with the logic. Boat is more difficult than car. So now on this, we have to say car, boat. So car is going to be easier, except we have to say more. So you can do it more easily. We need the adverb. You can get to Whittier more easily by car than by boat. Or by car more easily than by boat. You can change the position of by car. Number 3 is a reported speech question. He says he has never been, then he says it was the most magical town. Because he said, so we're going to go back 1 tense. It's not is the most, it was the most magical town he had ever been to. And most magical, I've never been to such magical, easy. And the last one, we stayed in Begich Towers because we didn't feel like going out. If you're not in the mood, you don't feel like it. And so we did this, well, we did it because of this. So there's your marks for this. Just 4 little use of English part 4 questions about Whittier, this fascinating topic. And then to finish, we have some speaking about Whittier. I've made a B2 question here because I was doing this in my B2 private class. So we have 2 photos which you need to compare and say what life might be like for people living in these buildings. Obviously this is the building of Whittier and this is a skyscraper in Singapore. Life will be quite different and you can compare them and say this is very remote and close to nature. This is more central with lots of cultural activities. Here you've got millions of neighbours, you don't know them. Here you have to be friends with your neighbours because they're the only people to talk to, and so on and so on. Then say which you would prefer to live in for the second little question for the other person in the speaking exam. And then to finish, we have another question about Whittier. This time it's a conversation task, so just talk together in your class or find someone to talk to. Why might these things attract people to live in Whittier? And have the discussion. Well, this because people like this. Some people like this. On the other hand, I'm not sure this would attract people because, and so on. And then decide which is the most attractive reason for people to live in Whittier and make your decision. And there we go. That's all of your listening, reading, grammar and speaking for today. Come back next week for a special class about Euro 2024 fantasy football. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one and I've got lots of students looking forward to it in my classes as well. Thank you. Goodbye.